get started. Please allow me to introduce myself. I think I know everyone on the call. I'm Tina Wiles, and I'm the CEO of the Medical Society. And this indeed is a unique experience, as many other experiences have been this year. And to host a virtual Women in Medicine celebration. This is a proud tradition of the Medical Society and very special to me, because I greatly value the women leaders of the Palm Beach County Medical Society. A couple people I'd like to do a shout out to is Dr. Jana Rasmussen, who was president when I was hired 22 years ago. And also, so Dr. Rasmussen was our first woman female president, followed by Dr. Jean Malecki, and then Dr. Ivy Fast, and Dr. Maureen Wheelahan. I think Dr. Wheelahan will be with us this evening. Maybe she is already.
She is registered. She's on.
So to have 4 amazing women serving as president of this organization is has been an accomplishment, and sometimes not an easy one for women to move into leadership. But each of these women presidents, female presidents, have been outstanding leaders and have continued to be engaged. And there have been so many other women physicians that have been engaged with us, whether being on the board or partnering with us, as with Dr. Alonso in the Department of Health, or on our committees and councils, or speaking, or with medical education, retired physicians. So many ways that our women physicians have served. And this tradition started in the early days. As you know, we're 100 years old, 101 this year. But one of the first physicians in Palm Beach County was Dr. Anna Darrow, and she was here in the 1900s, 1910, even before the Medical Society was formed, and doing house visits and house calls. So there's a very proud legacy of brave, courageous women stepping forward. But one person who I'd like to pay special tribute tonight is to Dr. Martha Rodriguez, who is treasurer of the Palm Beach County Medical Society.
Thank you.
Yes, she's done a great job.
And is the underwriter and sponsor of this event, and has made possible all that's happening tonight. So she is a true servant, and her daughter. Yes. We special kudos to the helpers and to our staff for all the people behind the scenes that make these events happen. But Dr. Rodriguez, you've really stepped up and out, and it's been with a sense of generosity and leadership and purpose, and you really are an inspiration, which is our theme for tonight. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Rodriguez.
Well, good evening, everyone. I want this to be an amazing event that we walk out of happy and full of inspiration and love. So good evening and welcome to the 2020 Palm Beach Medical Society Women in Medicine event. 2020 has been a year that has transformed us all. The society started the year with the news that Tena was retiring. Talk about a transforming news. Tena has led the society for 22 years. Her vision, her wisdom, and dedication has gotten the society to where it is today. It will be hard to see her go. The society will never be the same. I don't know if it will be better or it will be worse, but it will never be the same. We are happy to see her the new chapter in her life, and we know that she will be our partner for years to come. 2020 also changed our world from being with each other, hugging, kissing, surrounding each other, to a virtual world, the likes of which you see in this event. But no matter the scenario, no matter the tool, the society staff is always there to support us, unconditionally. Today, the Lakers get to face the Heat, but no matter how good LeBron is, he cannot win the championship without a team that supports him. We are so very grateful for all the staff of the society. We are also blessed to play the role we choose every day. We are also blessed to make a difference. So today is an hour dedicated to taking a break from all of that surrounds us and celebrate each other and honor each other. Every one of you is a hero. So let's have some fun. We're going to start by hearing a message from our president, Dr. Larry Bush.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Larry Bush, President of the Palm Beach County Medical Society. And it's my privilege, along with everyone else, to welcome you and thank you for attending this year's Palm Beach County Medical Society sponsored Women in Medicine. And thank you to Dr. Martha Rodriguez for her generous and gracious sponsoring of this event and all those who've made it happen. September is the American Medical Association's Women in Medicine Month, and this year their theme is Advancing Quality and Creating Change. In doing that, we recognize 4 doctors, 4 women physicians who have practiced in Palm Beach County and did just that for over 30 years. Those are Doctors Catherine Lowe, Dr. Daisy Murray, Dr. Irma Sigmo, and Dr. Ida Sebastian. And you'll also hear about some nominees and award winners from this year's conference or event tonight. But frankly, all the women in Palm Beach County medicine, as well as all the women in the United States of America who practice medicine are award winners. And we thank them for what they've done and continue to do. One other thing I want to mention before I tell you a little anecdote is for the first time, the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine, their first year entering class, had more women than men. I think that's an amazing event and a great change. I grew up in Philadelphia and attended the University of Pennsylvania, but I went to medical school at the Medical College of Pennsylvania. I really didn't know much about the history of the Medical College of Pennsylvania until I started studying there. In 1850, the Medical College of Pennsylvania actually started as a female Medical College of Pennsylvania, the first medical school in the world to admit women. And it was created by men, Quaker physicians, who felt that the acquisition of knowledge and the use of that knowledge to treat patients should not be restricted to men, but should be open to women, people of all races, creeds, and colors. And of the 8 initial students at the Medical College of Pennsylvania, then the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania, which changed its name in 1867, they invited into their class the first Indian woman, Chinese woman, and African-American women throughout the United States of America for the first time. One of those graduates, Dr. Ann Preston, went on to become the dean, the first medical school women's dean in the history of this country. Another famous graduate of that school was Dr. Catherine McFarland, who was the initiator of the pelvic examination to rule out and screen for pelvic cancers in women. She was born in 1877 and passed away at the age of 92 in 1969. The Medical College of Pennsylvania, because of the coeducational rules, changed its name at that time from the Women's Medical College in 1970. And since that time, then emerged with Drexel University. I think it's inspirational to know that they were at the forefront. I'm proud to say that I was involved in that school at that time, and I hope you enjoy your evening tonight, and thank you so much for all you do.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bush, for that. I don't know if you're on or not, but now hold on to your seats while we hear a woman who for sure has changed my life, Sarah Steele. Sarah is an international speaker and facilitator in the topics of resilience, emotional intelligence, and leadership intentionality. Some of her clients include FAU, Medical University of South Carolina, Johns Hopkins, NASA, and MIT. She has chaired multi-day conferences and moderated panels for clients such as the CDC, the FDA, and the Association of Public Health. But her favorite client is the Palm Beach Medical Society, where I had the privilege to meet her at the Society Leadership Academy, where she certainly changed my life. Take it away, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rodriguez. Wow, it is always, always, always an absolute pleasure and honor to be working with Palm Beach County Medical Society and to be working with their group of kick-ass, badass women on this time of night. I have to tell you, it's just such an honor. So thank you so much for inviting me to be here. And I'm delighted that, you know, the AMA has a Women in Medicine Month. That's pretty special and pretty fantastic. And I don't know if any of you have been watching the daily videos that have been coming out. If you haven't, I highly, highly recommend them. And as I've been watching them over the period of time, and Tenna, thank you so much for turning me onto them. No matter what the theme of the day has been, whether it was gender equality, dealing with COVID, whatever the theme of the day was, there was always these general themes that came out from the female panels, and it was a different female panel every day, but the themes that were consistent. So what I thought I would do tonight is just to unpack a couple of them, and just to give you my view as to what we need to be doing to be taking women into the leadership of tomorrow. Because whilst we know that in healthcare in general, women make up about 70% of the workforce, we also know that there's a distinct lack of leadership, female leadership at the very top. And the patriarchy, bless their little cotton socks and bless their hearts, as much as we have more and more allies, they don't get it. And they're never going to get it. Because no matter how much support we have, when our kid is sick, they're still going to want mummy. Right? So, right? And it's just, it is what it is, right? And we're not going to be able to change that. So here's my 2 pence on the situation. Take it or leave it. But these are my thoughts from watching all these wonderful women all month on the AMA's association. So we know that in relation to family caregiving, there's a huge disproportionate burden on the women in the family. Whether that's looking after the kids or whether it's elder care, a lot of it falls back onto us women. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's a role many of us would not want to give up. However, something needs to give, right? Because how many of you are exhausted? Right? So I know I am, and I'm not even a doctor, right? So, and I'm not even a doctor during COVID. So goodness knows how you guys must be doing. So there's this disproportionate burden on women. That was a problem before COVID. It's a heightened problem during COVID, because how many of you have got kids who've been homeschooled through this? Yeah, Lord bless you, right? So if you can get through this, you can probably get through just about anything. That's the good news, right? Yeah. But so this caregiving thing was a problem pre-COVID. It's been a heightened problem during COVID, and it's going to be a problem after COVID, right? So the problem itself is not going to go away. And our struggle is that we're trying to paint a new picture of equality into a framework that was designed by the patriarchy in a different era. It wasn't even designed by the patriarchy of today. It was designed by men who became professionals and the top of their game in a completely different era, when it really was unusual to the wife to have a job. And that was much more of the exception rather than the rule. And I'm of a good age now, about 25 years ago, and this conversation just about sums it up for me. About 25 years ago, I was the only female on the board of a multinational based in London. And one night after work, the board went out for dinner, because these things always happened after work, because they didn't have any childcare issues to be getting back home to, right? So how many of us can recognize that? Yeah. So they were going out, and I was talking to the CFO, who's a wonderful man, and so this is not against him, it just highlights the issue gap. His name's Paul, and me and Paul were talking. So he's the chief financial officer of the organization, And I referenced my housekeeper. And he looked at me and he said, but you're single, you don't need a housekeeper. Surely you mean your cleaner. So I said, well, in fairness to her, Paul, she does more than just clean for me. She does my laundry. She sees to the dry cleaning. She gets my shoes rehealed. There's a list of things that must always be in my house. She makes sure that they're always there for me. If something breaks, she finds me someone to fix it and she makes sure she's there to let them in. So really, Paul, no, she's a housekeeper. So putting aside the fact that I felt the need to justify why I had a cleaner / housekeeper, his response was classic. His response was, he looked at me with a bit of shock on his face and he said, wow, normally you have to marry them to get them to do all that. Yes, right? Now, Paul is a really good guy, right? He is an ally, but still, that was his comment, right? And I was just like, well, consider yourself lucky, Paul, I have to pay, right? So and I think that just sums it up, right? The system we're trying to recreate for ourselves with gender equality was designed by men that just don't get it. And we're trying to repaint this picture for ourselves, but we're trying to make this new picture fit into the old framework. There's no point painting a new picture. We've got to build the new framework because otherwise the picture's never going to fit. So the question comes, how do we build the new framework? If we're going to build the new frameworks that works for us, we need to have more women at the top. We need to have more women in that leadership role because the women get it. And there's a couple of things that I think we can all do to help along that. Now, some of us here, the thought of having to take on another role right now is just like, are you kidding me, Sarah? Right? I've got enough going on. So I get that completely. However, what I am going to say is that advancing women into leadership positions isn't only about you stepping into a leadership position. You know the saying, behind every great man, there's a great woman. Behind every great woman, there's 7 other great women holding her up.
That's right. That's true.
Getting more women into leadership isn't just about the person stepping into that place. It's about those other 7 women that have got their hands up and are going, honey, it's all right, I've got you. Right? It's about having that person that when we want to go to Tallahassee to lobby with Tenor and her team, it's about having that kick-ass woman in our background that says, why don't your kids come for sleepover? So that you haven't got to worry about that. Right? It's about having that woman that goes, I've got that, you know that great jacket of mine that you love? Borrow it. Right? Whatever it might be, it's about having those women that have our backs. Now, some of us are lucky and we have a fantastic other half, male or female, that backs us up. But sometimes even that person, you can't go to and go, you know what? I'm exhausted and I'm hormonal and there's no chocolate in the freaking house and I'm up to here with it, right? Another woman you can go to and go, I'm exhausted. And no one's going to be judging us. And you can go, and I'm hormonal. And they're going, honey, here, have my chocolate. Right? Women get it. So this is why, if we're going to rebuild this framework, we've got to stop thinking it's just about painting a new picture. It's about rebuilding the frame. And so the question is, what kind of frame do we want? Right? That's what we've got to focus on. So that's one thing that I really want us to think about. A guy called Mark Sanborn wrote a great little book. It's about yay big, and it's called "You Don't Need a Title." Sorry, you don't need a title to be a leader. And he's absolutely right. It doesn't matter what title you have, you can still be a leader. You can be that girlfriend that's the one that pulls those 5 girls together, no matter how busy they all are, that makes sure we still have that Tuesday night group. And that's my safe space for going, I'm exhausted, right? Nobody's getting it. That is a leader, because if that girl isn't the one who pulls us all together, the group will just break apart because we're all so busy, right? So leadership isn't about a title. Leadership is about how am I contributing to all of my fellow kick-ass women doing exactly what it is they want to do, even if that's staying at home full time and being with the kids. That's fine too. But it's about, is that what you want, right? And that's okay. So leadership is about women in leadership. I want us to start reframing the thought in our head. Yes, it can be about women at the top of the hierarchy, but it can also be about the girlfriend that hands you a bar of chocolate, right? And the girlfriend that pulls us all together every Tuesday night. And she might get frustrated because she feels like she's the only one ever pulling us all together. You know what? I mean, you are, and thank goodness for you. Thank you. You know, so we all need that individual. So if you feel like you're that woman, right, just know what you're doing for the other kick-ass women that come and join you, right? We all need to be sent a fluffy robe and a glass of champagne once in a while, right? So, I mean, seriously, how good did that make all of you feel? Right? It was just like a fluffy robe and a glass of champagne and a rose, and I'm happy. All right, it doesn't take a huge amount. So this is one thing that I really want us to be thinking about, is that, you know, you guys have got it all going on. Not only are you caregivers, not only are you, many of you, partners, you're also physicians, and you're physicians in a time of COVID. And that brings me on to another issue that came out in these AMA videos that I was watching. And it was really interesting to me. How many of you here sometimes feel way too guilty? You feel guilty you don't spend more time with the kids. You feel guilty you don't spend more time at work. You feel guilty you've had to take time off because then you know a colleague's got to take up your slack, right? Guilt, guilt, guilt. Us women are really, really good at the guilt trip, right? And one of the things that a study was recently done, and I thought this was fascinating, and it was brought to light by one of the ladies on this call. And she said, what they're finding is there's a lot of female physicians who were not at the front line. They weren't in the emergency room, and they're feeling guilty because they weren't, in their minds, doing enough. Right? They saw their colleagues in the emergency room. They weren't. And I think that's fascinating. One thing we as women need to learn to do is let stuff go.
Let it go.
Let that shit go. Right? And whether that's letting go of how things used to be in your mother's generation, or letting go how it used to be before COVID, or if you're like me, and it really bugs you that no one else in this house has unloaded this dishwasher today, and today's plates and cups are now loading up in the sink, because until that's unloaded, I can't put them away. Sometimes that's, yes, Martha's daughter, we're talking to you. I saw you giggle on that. And sometimes,
thanks so much.
You're welcome. Sometimes we need to let that go and go, you know what? I'm going to go and have that long hot soak in the tub with this glass of champagne and a trashy novel, right? Because right now, my mental health is more important than the plates in the cupboard. Right? That's more important to me. So we need to start prioritizing our own mental health, because we have got it all going on. And the reason we need to do that is we say that we want to be treated equally. How many of you treat you equally? How many of you mothers, colleagues, girlfriends, daughters, put yourself at the bottom of that list? You will wear yourself out looking after everybody else. Well, you know what? You're the one teaching everybody else how to treat you. So if you're not putting yourself higher up that list, we can't get upset with everybody else when they don't either. Right? And I know that's a tough message that many of us, including me, don't always want to hear.
That's right.
Right? But we've got to start prioritizing. And for those of you that have daughters in your house, I beg of you, children learn by what they see us do, not by what we tell them they should do. What are you teaching the next generation? When you're not saying the plates can stay there, mummy's going to go and have a soak in the tub, be quiet. Unless there's blood or fire, I don't want to hear it. Right? Give me 30 minutes. When the little hand's on the 6, you can come get me, right? So we need to make sure that we learn to get better. We need to do our part of this equality bargain, right? We need to start putting ourselves first, or at least higher up the list. Because until we do that, nobody else is going to be doing that for us. And this is what I mean by redesigning the framework. Okay? So we need to work on that, and we need to get better at that. And besides our boss, our colleagues, our kids, there's somebody else that pays really close attention to where we put ourselves in the hierarchy of who's important, and that's our brain. Our brain pays attention to us, and our brain believes us. It doesn't know any different between real and imagined. So if you're constantly telling yourself, oh, they're more important than me, what I want doesn't really matter, then you know what? The brain's going to go, oh, okay, I get you. Fine, I got it. I got the message. I've had 50 years now. I get it. I finally get it. Right? No, I'll stop trying to put you first. I get it. We come the bottom of the pile. You've got to start giving your brain, yourself, your daughters, your loved ones, your colleagues. You've got to start demonstrating it. We can't just talk it. We've got to start demonstrating it. And that's going to be some of the hardest lessons, I think, for us as women in redesigning this framework. So I would ask you, if you imagine you're recreating this frame,
For the cloud.
on four sides, what words would you want engraved around that frame? So as future generations stand in the hallway of the hospital where you work, and they go, that was the class of 2020, women in medicine. Look what they did. What words would you want to be carved around that frame? And are you living those words and those values right now? So in summary, my big key messages are, let that shit go. Whether it's mother's generation's view, or whether it's
Let the old stuff go.
let the old stuff go. Whether it's your mum's generation, whether it's what life was like pre-COVID, right? Things are different now. We're all struggling. Everybody's doing the best they can right now. The other thing I want you all to do, the second point, is I want you all to start practicing radical empathy. Now, as physicians, you have that empathy gene. It's been knocked out of some of you, but that's why you became a physician, for many of you. But the person I want you to start practicing this radical empathy with is yourself.
Yep.
Give yourself a break, right? Seriously, nobody cares if the plates are in the sink for an extra day. Right? If you're the only one in the house that cares, it's your problem, no one else's. And the final thing I want you to learn to do is to ask for help.
Yeah, that's what my mother's always said. That's my mother's word. Yeah.
Ask for help.
My
My doctor has just
You all
this
don't know how to
week
answer help.
reamed me on this one.
You can help me.
I was on a teleconference with my primary care physician, and me and my mum have the same primary care. And so I'm finally on with him about this issue, and he stopped. He said, Sarah, I know that you know how to ask your help, and these were his words, not mine, because when your mother needs it, you're all up my backside. He said, so how is it? I'm only now hearing that you've had a relapse and you're struggling to walk 7 months later. And I was like, oh yeah, well, but. And he just stopped me. He said, I don't want to hear it. He said, you need to get back. I know you know how to ask for help. You need to start doing it for yourself. And I was like, I've just been schooled by my male physician, right? But we've got to, whether it's buying yourself a Roomba so that the vacuuming gets done, whether it's buying pre-cooked meals so you haven't got to, get home and cook at the end of the night, whether it's asking a girlfriend to help you out, whatever it is, get better at identifying where you need the help and getting it, right? You deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. So those are my 3 things. Let it go, seek help, radical empathy. And that way we can start rebuilding this framework where we're not trying to put gender equality into a patriarchal framework. We've got to rebuild the framework, ladies. And only we can rebuild the framework, because the men, as wonderful allies as many of they are, they just don't get it, right? So there you go. When men can have babies, I'll start to believe that they get it. All right, until that time, I take the view that they don't get it. All right, so that's me. So I just want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my random thoughts with you on this wonderful, wonderful evening. And I want to write back at all of you as women in, women physicians, women in medicine. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. I think you could sum it up. You could sum it up. Now, tonight is about putting that frame together, that alliance. You know, that frame has 4 pieces and they have to always be stuck together. That's what tonight is about. And I knew you could put it together. And I thank you. Yeah, because it's true. This is something that we have to do. We have to stick together. We have to grow together. While you were talking, I thought about something that I don't know if Tena can correct me or not. But I think this is the first time that the society is going to have a president-elect, a vice president, and a secretary. All of 3 are females.
That is very true. That is very true.
Yeah.
That's a major step.
Nice.
Yes. So we're following along. We're working on this. This is why I thought that tonight had to be done, because we all have to take a break and look at this. And you put it like I could never put it together. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's wonderful to get to speak to such badass women.
Badass.
So, like I said before, we're going to keep going now to our next part of the evening. That's hard to follow, but we're going to try. Like I said before, everyone in this call, every one of us is a hero and an inspiration to all. But we asked the community to nominate an inspirational Woman of the Year. And, this is not a usual year. So the inspirational nominations came very quickly, because as someone who has stood out and someone who tonight we really want to honor. And that award goes to Dr. Alina Alonso. Yay. So Dr. Alonso is, as you know, the director of the Florida Department of Health. And in that role, she's taken a lot of beating through the years. But this year, she's really, really mastered her punch. I've been there at times when she's really done that. And for that, I am so proud of you. And always with a smile. Always with a smile. Always. You really know how to give it to them. Okay? So I am proud and honored that you won this award, because you deserve it. This year, you have been pivotal in getting us through this, getting us aware of each and every step. And you will see later in the video how important it is that you keep in your mind the basics of this crisis that we're going through. So, having said that, we congratulate you. We appreciate you. We don't even know how to thank you enough for sharing your life with us and giving us so much of you. We know it's not easy. So we would like to hear some words from you.
I'm unmuted. Okay. Wow. I knew I was going to join you all for a celebration, but I wasn't expecting this piece. So give me a moment to think. I am very, very honored to even been considered for this. I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go into medicine because of my curiosity and everything else, but I decided to become a family physician, and I had no idea I was going to go into public health. When I got here, I don't know if I told you the story, but I was going around to different offices, and that was in 1989. I did my residency up in New York and knew that I was coming back home because this is where I grew up, and I wanted to give to my community. So I came and I was going around to a few different offices. I was going to open up my private practice and, do what I was supposed to do. And people kept telling me, oh, you don't have to worry about those patients. And I said, who are those patients? Those Medicaid people. It's like, okay. So I went to the next place, and again, you don't have to worry about those people. So I said, well, where do those people go? And they said, the health department. So I shook the guy's hand and I said, all right, see ya. He goes, where are you going? I said, I'm going to the health department where they take care of those people. And so I went to the health department. Dr. Signo was working then, Irma. He was working at the health department by then, right? And I walked in, I figured I'd, hang around for maybe 3 to 6 months, get my own patients, and then be able to take off with those people. So Dr. Malecki interviewed me, and she goes, I asked her for a part-time job, and she said, no, I got a position down in Delray. And it's full-time. And I said, but she goes, nope, you're public health. And I said, well, I don't really know too much about public health. She says, I can tell you're public health. And that woman somehow recognized something that I had no idea what it was. And she made me then do the residency program. Now imagine, I don't know how you all felt, but when you finished residency, the last thing you thought about was doing another residency, right? So I kept putting her off, and finally, just to shut her up, I swear to God, just to shut her up, I said, okay, I'll do it. And I started the residency, and before you know it, I was raising my hand here, and I was raising my hand there, and I was causing all kinds of trouble, like couldn't understand why the men were making $20,000 more than the women. And so we had Malecki change that. And next thing, I couldn't understand why we had to wear pantyhose, because I didn't like pantyhose, and we changed that. And anyway, you all know how Malecki was. Many of you knew her. And I was just having a blast, and I fell in love with public health. Whatever it was that she saw, there it was. And when she finally retired in 2009, she said to me she was leaving. I said, you can't do that. Who's going to take over? She goes, you're going to take over. I said, I can't take over your place. I like being number 2. I get to do everything, and I don't get in trouble for it. And she said, nope, it's time that you start getting in trouble for it. So here I am, still getting in trouble for the stuff I do, but I do it proudly. I'm very honored for this recognition, especially from all of you who I so deeply admire and respect. Ivy probably has known me forever. I graduated from Barry in 78, and she followed in 79. So yes, I'm still older than you. But little did we know when we were doing biochemistry and hated organic. I still can't do the Greenyard reaction, no matter how I try. That we would be in this spot here and now. I think this pandemic is going to reshape our lives in ways that we still can't even anticipate it. It has been really an honor to be able to maintain the voice of reason sometimes, try to tell the truth, and try to let science show the way. I think the facts and the truth do matter. And I have tried very hard to put that forward in sometimes some very difficult positions, because this has turned so political. But as women, as mothers, like you said, Sarah, and as physicians, we have to stand up, and we have to stand up for humanity and for health and healing. Because if we don't do that, who else is going to do it? And I think we can do it in a unique way. And you're right, some of the other people just don't get it, but we get it. And I think we have to really help one another and do this. I'm in great company with all of you, so I thank you very, very much. It's very humbling to receive something like this. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Dr. Alonso. Thank you very much. Congratulations to you. And like I told you in the interview, I wanted you to know that you have not been ignored or not heard. We have really followed you. I know how have you taken the punches and put us forward. So we are so grateful. And we look forward.
Sarah, I actually got a badass badge. So yes, I am a badass.
Officially, you're a badass. I think of anybody, because I watch you on all those things, you are officially a badass.
Yay. So now we would like to, Martha, interview we did some interviews of some of you that were graceful enough to give us some time. So we just wanted to play the video, and so you could see and get inspired for some of the women that are part of our team, and some of the women that want together with all of us, help the ones coming after us. I mean, we have a very critical position to lead the women that are coming after us. I mean, that, like Dr. Bush said, the women in medicine are growing and growing and growing. So we have a double responsibility to really put forward what we do, how we do it, and when we do it. So we interviewed these brilliant, incredible women. So I invite you to listen to this video.
Welcome to the 2020 Women in Medicine celebration. 2020 has brought many challenges, but it has also brought many rewards. We need to celebrate each other and support each other in everything that we do so we can create a solid foundation for generations to come. Now hear from some women that will echo the theme of the day. Women can do anything.
Mother, you know, you understand the dynamic of working with your mom and seeing what she did on a daily basis. She was a pediatrician, and I would often shadow her in the hospital and see her taking care of those children, and she would allow me to volunteer and play with the kids and all of that. So it was my first vision of what a medical professional did. And her story is really interesting because she actually grew up in India in very poor circumstances, in this tiny village where she had, 5 brothers and sisters, and her father died of a heart attack. He was a farmer when she was only 4 years old. So there was a single mom taking care of 6 kids in this rural Indian village. And but the only thing she really loved to do is actually to go to school. So she would walk to this village school, and the teacher saw something in her. And she was the only one out of the 6 that they said, you actually have a chance to go to college and maybe get some sort of scholarship if you take this entrance exam. And she did. And she, just went through every step of her life, resilient and struggling and strong. And she actually went to medical school in India, and she was almost about to graduate when she had an arranged marriage with my father, and they moved to the United States. And so she had to interrupt medical school. And so she came here, and my sister was born, and she just went through being a mom and getting a master's degree here and all that. Then we moved back to India, and it was actually my father who said, you probably should finish medical school. And so she finished medical school in India. So I guess I was just watching this whole thing in her journey of becoming like a practicing physician. And she was older when she started practicing here, but I saw this real commitment to her patients, and it was really inspiring. And so ever since I was very little, this is the story that I've been around.
Has questioned herself if she is doing everything she can to try to explain the importance of the social distancing and the masks and everything else that has to happen. It's the only tool we have, and I feel that I have failed to communicate that as we see things opening up and curfews and everything going away. This is not over, and so that part of Dr. Alonso that knows what's coming doesn't want to be right. I want to be wrong. I want to be able to say, yeah, we're doing great and everything's fine, but that other part of Dr. Alonso knows that the second wave is coming, and that things are not, this is a long haul. This is not a 2 or 3 months event. This is a 2 or 3 years event, very much like H1N1 back in 2009. So we have to persist. We have to get science to mean something again. And we have to find new ways of communicating more effectively and being able to tell the truth and get back to people being able to trust the truth. Definitely the ability to help people. That was something that I wrote in my first essay when I was applying to medical school, and it's still true today. There really is nothing more rewarding than helping someone. In some cases, it's on a one-to-one circumstance with another person in front of you that you're helping them, whether it's with their medical condition or just listening to them, holding their hand. And in other times, as in public health, it's helping your community, whether it's to decrease the infant mortality or fight the spread of a disease like we're doing now, or to teach the importance of good nutrition and healthy habits. So all those things make up something that is very rewarding to me and that I'm very passionate about doing, because I think it's important to help your community.
As a woman physician, there are definitely a unique set of circumstances and challenges that I face and that my female colleagues face day in and day out. It certainly is a challenge for work-life balance, just like our male colleagues, but I do feel that as a female physician and as a young female physician in my field, that breaking into leadership, being a medical director of the NICU that I helped open at my medical center last year, and also serving on a number of hospital committees, as well as leading the nurses and the other staff in my unit, does present itself with unique challenges. There's a constant push not only to better the environment, but also to have to kind of prove yourself, to show that you really do embody the characteristics that other people in your work environment may not see a young female physician as being that type of leadership material, or stereotypically who would have filled that position in years prior. And so really always showing up and to the meetings and getting a seat at the table and really having your voice be heard and advocating for who and what you feel passionate about, whether it is certain aspect of patient care, whether it is a work environment matter, whether it is making sure that best practice and standard of care are being implemented day in and day out for your patient population. So I think that as a female physician, there are unique circumstances that perhaps male colleagues can show up to that same meeting and they are just regarded as gospel. Essentially what they say is taken to heart and that they really are accepted in that role. And as a female physician, you just have to go that extra step to have your voice be heard and to have it be respected and recognized and have that sense of control in a diplomatic yet collegial fashion.
Think about the women 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago. Think of the women in other countries who don't have that ability, who have to, toe the line in a certain way, or had to toe the line in a certain way. We stand on the shoulders of the women who came before us, and thank God for all of them. Kenna is an amazing person, and I remember when she started, and it's been 22 years. And what's amazing is how the medical society has grown, under her leadership. And it's these ideas. Maybe a doctor has an idea, and they say something to her, and she works on it and works her magic and brings it to fruition. Sometimes she has an idea that is, she says, "What do you think? I had an idea about blah, 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 blank," whatever it is, and she makes it happen. She makes it happen. And you have no clue how much she's doing behind the scenes. We go to our meetings, and then a month later, or whenever the next meeting is, and wow, look at all the stuff that accomplished. And it's because Kenna's like in the kitchen making it happen.
We're going to miss her, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's really incredible. It's really, I don't think I've ever heard her say, "No, we can't do that." Honest. We would talk about a positive person. Kenna's a positive person.
Yay, Kenna!
Another important message that I would like to share is just enjoy the process. Everything will be over. medical school is just once, residency and fellowship, they are temporary, or rotations that we go to. Some of them are challenging, some of them are enjoyable, but all of them will come to an end. It is important to stop and smell the roses, as the saying says. Just look around and enjoy, or allow yourself to enjoy the beautiful opportunity that you have at that particular moment, because next day it will be different. It's important to live in the present and value it.
I'm going to start out by saying that there's an old African Ghanaian proverb and an adjective that basically says, when you educate a man, you educate an individual. But when you educate a woman, you both educate and enlighten a nation, an entire nation. So for me, and I always say, remember the 3 P's: planning, preparation, and passion. So, you know, we need to set goals. We need to write them down. We need to really gauge how we're doing, with some checks and balances and some timelines. We got to learn to work smart. We got to spend a lot of time with preparation, surrounding ourselves with positive, goal-minded people.
In closing, I want to thank everyone for your participation today. Remember, the Palm Beach Medical Society is where we all meet and fight for each other. I hope for all of you to join us in the future to create many, many happy moments like today. I look forward to next year and to celebrate every single step that we take. Congratulations to you all. Welcome to the 2020 Women in Medicine.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. Do you hear me?
Yes.
No, we can't now.
Eric, wrong way. We are getting better at doing Zoom. That is one thing, but still lessons to learn. But thank you all so much for being here tonight, and thank you for your kind comments. It's greatly appreciated. But you all are my heroes and have been my role models. So greatly appreciate all that you've done to make Palm Beach County Medical Society and Medical Society Services the success that it is.
You're my hero.
So, but it is an honor, and I have to put in a couple plugs. Tomorrow night, we are starting our Future of Medicine series. I hope you all register. It is 5 Thursday evenings in a row, and you're obtaining CME credits. Tomorrow night, we will have the female president of the American Medical Association and the male president of the Florida Medical Association. But so I hope you join with us for that. There's a full lineup. There is no cost. And certainly with the Future of Medicine is going to be different this year. But what's important is we carried forward and we found a solution, and everyone is working together to make it happen. Also, we will be hosting our installation of Dr. Roger Duncan, another milestone, our first African-American president of the Palm Beach County Medical Society, on December 5th, Saturday evening, and it is going to be virtual. The decision was made last night that we will do a virtual installation. We'll have fun with it like we've had fun tonight, and we will also honor our heroes in medicine that were selected and were to be honored earlier in the year, but due to COVID, we had not been able to do that. Dr. Duncan will then again have another celebration in March, perhaps after our world is a bit safer to be out in public and we can relax a bit more. So I hope you'll be getting information on that, and that's very important. But Dr. Rodriguez, I'd like another big round of applause for Dr. Rodriguez for making this possible.
I just wanted to be the beginning, not the end. I want us to all touch bases at least quarterly. We're going to plan something for us to get together at least quarterly. I think we have to. I think we have to fuel each other. It's like putting gas in the car. Today, I feel like I can do this. I can do this. And I am so grateful to you all. Let me tell you, interviewing you guys was one of the highlights of my whole entire 59 years. I'm not kidding. Dr. Lowe made me cry for the whole interview. It was so incredible. I am so proud of you, all of you. Let's keep it going. Let's get together. Let's do it. We need to teach others how to do this and to bring them along so they can continue what we've done. God bless you all and stay safe. And thank you and congratulations to you all. I love you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Thank you, Tenna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alonso.